Good evening to everyone, and welcome to the business meeting of the Harrisburg School District for Monday, November 16th. Thank you so very much for taking time to join us this evening. There is a full agenda, and I'd like to officially call the meeting to order. Ms. Anderson, would you please complete roll call?
Mr. Pittman,
Here.
Ms. Fowler, Mr. Williams,
Present.
Ms. Carreras,
Present.
Mr. Thompson Leader,
Here.
Ms. Robinson,
Here.
Mr. Thompson, Ms. Buckwalk, Mr. Carter, Dr. Samuels, Mr. Selmer,
Present.
Ms. Anderson, present.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. I would now ask that we pause our videos and prepare for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. As we continue this evening, I would like to approve the agenda for November 16th, 2020. I further like to approve the minutes from October 20th, 2020. Ms. Anderson, are there public comments?
We have one public comment at this time. It's going to be from Ms. Bethune-Brown, 2430 Dairy Street, Harrisburg, PA, 17104. And I'll read the information on public comments first before I read her comment. Guidelines for public comment. Public participation at this reconvened meeting shall be limited to remote connection using a virtual meeting platform to allow for connection by any member of the public and provide a mechanism for participants to indicate that they would like to offer comments during the public comment portion of the meeting. All public comments pertaining to the posted business meeting agenda should be emailed to Board Secretary Ms. Christine Anderson at boardsecretary@hbgsd.us no later than Monday, November 16, 2020, 2 p.m., consistent with policy 903. Public comment is limited to residents or taxpayers of the Harrisburg School District. Therefore, individuals wishing to provide public comment must include name, address, and affiliation, if applicable, with email public comments. The board secretary will read the comments during the meeting. This is a comment from Ms. Brown. During these extraordinary circumstances that we are living in, I find that as a district, there should be a more supportive manner on how students are being addressed. Furthermore, this should be an area of continued effort by all parties involved, students, teachers, parents, and other school officials, no matter the situation. Needless to say, I am concerned with the nature and lack of fairness in the new attendance policy. Were stakeholders involved in the development of this policy while students are being taught online? I realize that attendance is important, but policy should be fair and equitable. The policy states that if a student is out for 3 classes, they are marked as absent for a full day. That is unfair. A student may be at a doctor's appointment and may be able to only attend the last 2 periods. The student may have become ill later in the day after he or she attended the first half of the school day. Under normal circumstances in a brick and mortar school environment, the student would be marked as either early dismissal or excused tardy. Secondly, the policy states that if a student misses advisory, they are marked tardy. This is not a correct use of tardy. The policy does nothing to provide guidance to parents about what to do if the student has attempted to log into Zoom and is not able to get in. What steps should be taken so that the student is not marked as absent? We're living in a very difficult time in our world, and this policy does nothing to provide support for students. It also does not seem to address the fact that students are being taught in an environment that they did not choose. No one chose. The culture of the district needs to be more supportive, and there needs to be more leniency. I respectfully request that this attendance policy is reviewed and consideration is given based on the current economic and health crisis that we're living in, as well as the new learning environment. Often there have been technological issues all out of our control. Ms. Bethune-Brown, thank you.
Ms. Anderson, thank you very much for sharing Ms. Brown's comments. Someone will follow up with Ms. Brown personally, but during the presentations that will occur this evening, attendance will also be addressed. Mr. Sommer, would you please introduce our presentations for this evening? And I know you are going to provide us with a very comprehensive update.
Thank you, Dr. Samuels. And I concur. I want to thank Ms. Brown for her public comment this evening. And we will be touching on some key points. And we agree. This is an evolving situation, and we need to evolve as well. And we'll continue to make adjustments, and they need to be student-centered adjustments. So again, I thank her for her comments this evening. We're going to start this evening's presentations with Dr. Sue Sneath. Dr. Sneath is our Chief Academic Officer. And I want to thank Dr. Sneath for her work on our comprehensive plan and academic updates. The PD comprehensive planning process started before COVID. We actually had a forum when we were all allowed to be together in a room in February, where we had almost 60 individuals that attended, key stakeholders throughout the community, students, to discuss the comprehensive plan. But due to COVID-19, things were delayed with the plan. But I'm pleased that Dr. Sneath and the team are here this evening to give updates and an overview of what will be our PDE 3-year comprehensive plan. So I will turn it over to Dr. Sneath.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing me some time to present the summary of the district-wide comprehensive plan. The district-wide comprehensive plan was posted on September 30th for public review. And we took the comments that were the feedback that was provided and wove it into some of the big ideas of the comprehensive plan. Basically, there were multiple stakeholders that played a part in gearing the district toward the big goals for the school district. There were focus groups of district leaders, focus groups of teachers, students, community members, and parents as well. There was a survey that went out. You can go to the next one, Mr. Nordholt. In the next slide, it talks about a survey that went out. There was a lot of data collection so that we really made sure that the stakeholders of the school district were the steering force behind the goals of the school district. So we collected data from families, students, and educators, and all of those were sort of pulled together to come up with the 4 big bucket ideas. Next slide, please. So the big bucket ideas center around these 4 ideas. The focus of the goals of the comprehensive plan focus on school climate, culture, and belief systems, student achievement, focus on continuous improvement of instruction, and attendance. In the area of beliefs, we created a goal based on perception data. In these perceptual surveys that were given to teachers and students, we focused on a very particular belief system. And that is, for the adult beliefs, the percentage of teachers that believe their students can be academically successful and achieve at high levels will increase by 10% per year as measured by the Perceptual School Culture Survey. Conversely, on the student side, there will be minimally a 10% increase of students who answer the question, when I am at school, I feel that adults think I will be successful, affirmatively. The whole idea behind this, we want children to know and feel that they are capable and ready to learn at very high levels. And we want our adults to believe in the achievement and growth of every single one of them at all times. The next goal really talks about the achievement levels in the area of ELA and mathematics. We focused on the 3rd through 8th grade PSSA to help guide and measure that success in that goal. The overall proficiency in PSSA ELA for students in grades 3 through 8 will increase by 6.8% per year through strategies of improved instructional practices, high expectations for students, creating a welcoming and respectful classroom environment, and instructional decisions based on data. Additionally, in mathematics, also measured by PSSA, students in grades 3 through 8 will increase by 5.6% per year through strategies of improved instructional practices, high expectations for students, creating a welcoming and respectful classroom environment, and instructional decisions based on data. If you remember from previous board meetings, you know that we have implemented a K-5 literacy core program that is being taught with fidelity across the school district, as well as we have implemented K-8 math resource that is now this year implemented across the school district. Just that continuity of implementation of high-level standards in the area of ELA and mathematics will help us achieve our goal. On the area of continuous improvement of instruction, we're looking a little bit differently at a measure called PVAS. We want our teachers to grow our children at high levels. That means that we not only want our children to grow a year for a year every year, but we also want our children, especially those that come in behind, to grow at a higher rate of improvement. In other words, to grow faster, maybe grow 2 years in a year. So we are going to focus on continuous improvement of instruction in order to achieve this goal. Teachers will receive regular feedback about their instructional practices through the formal observation process, the walkthrough observation process, and through lesson plan reviews. The number of teachers scoring in yellow or red range, as measured by PVAS, will decrease by 3% per year. In other words, we want fewer teachers in the red and yellow measures of PVAS, which means low growth, to move to the green, light blue, and dark blue, which means maintaining skills or accelerated growth. And then lastly, we talk a lot about this, the need, we cannot teach our students if they are not present. And we need our children to come to school every single day that we have school. So there is a big push and focus to make sure that the district-wide average daily attendance increases So the average daily student attendance will increase by 1.5% per year. And we also want to reduce the number of students who are classified as chronically absent, meaning students who miss 10% or more of their school year. As we said, we, especially in this remote setting, we have really honed in and focused on multiple strategies to encourage and to connect and to give access to school every single day. And those teams, we call them access teams, will positively stay in place, whether we are in the remote setting or whether we are brick and mortar. We need to connect with our students. We need our kids to want to be in school, to feel safe to be in school, and to attend school every single day. So that is the fourth goal. And bottom line is that it is the belief of Harrisburg School District that all children can grow and learn at high levels, that Harrisburg School District is striving to become a high-performing school district that serves the diverse needs of the Harrisburg school community. Overall, that is the overall belief of the comprehensive plan, and every action plan within the comprehensive plan supports that belief system. So thank you so much for your support in creating this plan and also in giving us feedback so that we can really make it something that's very relevant for the next 3 years in Harrisburg School District.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sneath, for that comprehensive overview of the comprehensive plan. And one of the things that we'll be working on is to ensure that the comprehensive plan and the recovery plan, that they're really embedded in the daily operations of the school district, from the superintendent's office through all the buildings. That's something, quite honestly, we noticed in our time here with prior plans. And it's something, the plans need to be understood and embraced by all stakeholders and all employees within our organization if we're going to move forward and achieve the benchmarks that are outlined in the plan that you saw tonight, and ultimately the plan that will be updated by Dr. Samuels and the recovery plan under receivership. So again, we look forward to continued updates, and I thank Dr. Sneath and the team for their hard work and putting that plan together and bringing it to fruition. Okay, we're going to convert over to a presentation that I'll be providing tonight with COVID-19 updates. And again, next slide, Mr. Nornholt, please. So currently we're still in virtual learning. We are in 100% virtual learning model. We have two options, which is what we started our school year with. Option A is our virtual live instruction, which is partnered with independent asynchronous work. And then option B is our Harrisburg Virtual Learning Academy, our HVLA program, where it's an asynchronous, 100% asynchronous learning model with flexibility to complete work independently and at times that meet the student and family needs to complete that work. As we know, with COVID-19, we're trending in the wrong direction. And I think it's important to start with what PDE recommends from a virtual learning model. And PDE recommends that a complete virtual learning model happens when the county positivity rate is above 10% or the incident rate per 100,000 is above 100. And the next slide will show you data points that obviously are concerning with the way we're trending. So if you look at 9/11/2020, we were at a 45.5 per 100,000 rate and 5.2% positivity rate. As a school district, we were looking to be at a 3 to 4% positivity rate to look at a hybrid learning model. You'll see at the end of September, we were at our lowest point from a positive perspective of 35 per 100,000 and a 2.8% positivity rate. That was the same time where we made the decision to re-engage in fall athletics when we hit that very low threshold. At the same time, we started our planning to bring small cohorts of students back for learning here in the Harrisburg School District, which was actually supposed to be, day one was supposed to be today, November 16th. But what occurred through October and now November, you will see We absolutely went in the wrong direction as a state, as a county, as a country. And you'll see today's numbers as of last week. We are now at close to 200 per 100,000, and our positivity rate is almost at 10%. What we're seeing is true community spread that's been happening throughout, not just Dauphin County and the city of Harrisburg, but really across the state. And because of that, we are going to be making a recommendation that we stay in a virtual 100% learning option for the foreseeable future, and I'll discuss that in a minute. Next slide, please. Let's talk about virtual programming. It has been extremely difficult for our families, for our students, for our staff to make the transition that we made to start the school year. But there are some celebration points that we need to point out tonight because of the hard work of the community and our staff and our teams at our buildings and our central administrative team. From a device perspective, April 2020, we were 1 device for every 5 students. Since then, the team has provided 5,942 devices across our school district. We're essentially all at a point where we're almost 1-to-1 device to student school district, just in really 5 to 6 short months. We closed 2,417 support requests that came in and answered over 1,500 support calls since August 31st when school started. The food service team has provided 186,317 grab-and-go meals as of October 31, 2020. And we added a dinner offering after the Labor Day holiday. Student supports. Teams from across the school district have been knocking on doors to ensure students have the tools and supports they need to be successful. A recent example, our high school team, our John Harris campus, knocked on 169 doors where they met with families, they engaged with students, and the outreach was because the students weren't connecting with us on a regular basis. So we've really enhanced our access and our what I'll call our ground game here within the school district, trying to make sure students are connected with us during this very difficult time. And schools have continued to issue materials. Last week, Downey Elementary had a big distribution of materials for students and families as just, again, a recent example. Attendance. Our elementary and middle school level synchronous and asynchronous participation is around 81%. Our high school is around 78%. And when I say participation, I mean it could be that a student was on for synchronous live instruction, or they did their work asynchronously on that day. Our attendance rates are averaging anywhere from the high 60s to the 90% range, depending on the day. But when you look at a participation rate of around 80%, and you look at our attendance rates pre-COVID, we want those rates to be higher. But if you look at this historical trend, they're very close to where the school district was pre-COVID. Again, we're not satisfied with these numbers by any stretch, but it just shows you we're very close to where we were pre-COVID, and we're continuing to try to improve on those numbers as we move through the next couple of months. Our partnerships have been tremendous. Tri-County Community Action Plan helped us connect 283 students with internet access that would not have had it with this program. UPMC and the Harrisburg School District recently partnered on several community flu shot rollouts amongst 5 different buildings within the Harrisburg School District. Again, there's many other examples, but those are just a few of recent examples of community partnerships really stepping up to help the Harrisburg School District. And our teaching and learning teams have done they've done a remarkable job and have made remarkable strides with instruction and family connections during this difficult period. As Ms. Brown said in the beginning with the public comment, which really resonated with me, she talked about all the key stakeholders and how we have to do this together. And as a school district, we're going to continue to try and enhance our outreach and continue to support our families during now what will be an extended time of remote learning. Our Harrisburg Virtual Learning Academy program. Currently, we have 268 students enrolled in our Harrisburg Virtual Learning Academy, and we are so appreciative of those families giving us the opportunity to educate their students through that program. In October 2020, basically 45 days into the start of the school year, we did approve 30 virtual monitor supplemental positions to help support our HVLA students K to 12. During the business meeting tonight, the administration is recommending two key resolutions. One is the purchase of Edgenuity site licenses for grades K to 5 and the approval of a Harrisburg Virtual Learning Academy elementary teacher job description. Why is this so important? The next point is we're working diligently to make a transition earlier than we anticipated when we started HVLA this summer. The transition is we are looking to have our school district teachers provide K to 5 instruction through our HVLA program. Initially, back at a prior board meeting, we did a memorandum of understanding which would have provided for a year of transition for this to happen based on feedback. Based on what we've seen in some other areas like charter school, we believe this needed to be accelerated. And so we're pleased tonight to have these resolutions on the board agenda that will help us accelerate that migration of our K to 5 students as we strive to bring students back to the Harrisburg School District. Coupled with that is the charter school update, which is this slide. And this is something our community needs to be aware of and understand. Charter schools drain a significant amount of funds from the Harrisburg School District. And I know charter school proponents aren't going to like to hear that, but it's the reality of the situation. This slide here shows essentially where our charter school students are up around approximately 200 students that are now in charter schools that were not in charter schools at the end of last school year. So even with our HVLA program, which again had 268 students, we still have 200 students that have moved to a charter school setting. And what this could mean for the school district for this fiscal year is an additional $2 to $3 million in unbudgeted expenses that the school district would have to cover out of its general operating budget. This slide also shows you where some of the transitions have happened. So 160 students are new enrollment to charters after the end of the school year. They're also new enrollment to the city of Harrisburg and the Harrisburg School District. So these are students we did not have last year that moved into Harrisburg between March and the start of the school year that have signed up for a charter school education. You'll see there was transfers of around 150 students to charter schools at the end of the year. We had private school children, which at this point last year, the school district wasn't paying any cost for that student. So we had 39 private school students that transferred to charter. So that cost is now transferred to the Harrisburg School District to pay that tuition. So when you add all of those together, we could be looking again at a $2 to $3 million additional expense in our charter school costs. And as a school district, we've been very clear that we believe and we understand we have an obligation to provide robust programming for our students and families. And that's what we're working to do with our Cougar Academy program. We're working to do with our HVLA program, the changes and the enhancements we're going to make throughout this school year as we head in the next school year. But we need help as a school district with this particular situation. The funding disparity and the funding that cyber charters specifically get compared to a school district is unfair. It's been unfair for a decade, and in this age of COVID-19, it is hurting school districts across the state. I've read from a number of articles where in Northeast Pennsylvania, their charter school costs could go up as high as $65 million. And where does that money come from? There's been studies that show that based on this type of increase, taxpayers may have to burden a 3 to 4% increase in taxes to help the school district offset these type of increases. So when our constituents and when our community hears that cyber charter is free, it is not free. The school district is paying. The billboards you see across the city, the school district's paying for that. The marketing blitz, the free turkeys they're handing out around Thanksgiving, the school district is paying for that. And as a taxpayer, our taxpayers need to understand they're helping to foot the bill for that. And so as a school district, we are going to continue to do our part. And our obligation is to enhance and improve our virtual learning options for our families. And we are going to do that. We started it this summer. We're going to continue to improve. We're going to continue to enhance the offerings. So we have a robust virtual programming platform for our families in the Harrisburg School District. But at the same time, we need legislative help. The legislature has to take on this issue. They've been skirting it for a decade now. It's time. And the time is now. We need help. We'll do our part, but we need the legislature to do theirs. Next slide, please. Athletics update. So again, when we made the decision to resume fall workouts in athletics, the positivity rate was 2.8%. Our incident rate, again, was in the 30s. We shared as of November 11, we're at 9.4 and almost 200. So the recommendation is at this point is we're gonna postpone winter athletics. We're not canceling at this point. We're postponing. We're going to continue to watch the numbers over the coming weeks. We're also going to see what comes out of the Mid-Penn League. It is our understanding they may be meeting in the coming days, and we're going to see what their thoughts and recommendations are around winter athletics. But for now, we're going to continue to follow the data. We've done it since March, and we need to continue to do it even through the winter months. The data is it's excessive right now with what we're seeing with COVID-19. What's even more concerning when you think about winter athletics, they're indoors, not outdoors. When you think about a sport like wrestling, you have significant contact amongst wrestlers, and even basketball is a fairly physical sport. So beyond just fall, winter, there's also concerns even with the sports themselves. And we just need to ensure that whatever we do, we try to do it safely. I commend our football team. I commend our soccer team. I commend our tennis team, our volleyball team, our cheerleaders. They did everything I asked of them and more to try to ensure that their seasons could happen. And I just want to share that publicly, that the fact of specifically with what happened with the football team, our student athletes did everything possible. Our coaches did everything possible. I'm proud in each of every one of them for everything they did to try to, prolong their season. But it just wasn't in the cards. But at the end of the day, we had to do what we needed to do. We needed to keep them safe. And unfortunately, the data, the numbers started upticking at the wrong time. And, what happened. But it doesn't take away from the remarkable efforts that our coaches and our student athletes made to participate and represent the Harrisburg School District wonderfully during this very difficult time. Next slide, please. Communication updates. Just want to share again publicly. We're currently working on our outreach, and we've been trying to enhance how we communicate for the last year. Facebook and Twitter, our Facebook following is very strong. We are on Twitter as well. Our website updates, we try to keep our website updated. Our Harrisburg School District app, we have over 1,200 downloads. We'd like to see 5,000 more. So again, that app gives you instant access to information we push out. It will push right to your device. So again, we want to encourage continual, and we want to increase the download number for our app. Advertising and TV campaigns we did in August around our virtual learning models. We did our outdoor walk-up events in August and September. And again, I thank Dr. Samuels and the board. This was recommendations they made as far as trying again to support our families, and our teams did a wonderful job doing this safely during a very difficult time. And we had a lot of success in August and September with those walk-up events at our buildings. I've been going on the mayor's TV program once a month just to try to give updates, board meeting updates, and also our building teacher outreach efforts. Some upcoming updates that we're adding to hopefully, again, increase connectivity. Our Facebook Live business meeting and review. What we've seen in working with Miss Keys, who does all our communication and public relations, is in July when we did the Facebook Live session, it was well attended. So what we're going to try and do, because there's some great information that's shared during the board meetings monthly. So we're going to try a Facebook Live tomorrow at 5 o'clock where we're going to do a business meeting and review. So we're going to hit some of the key highlights that we're doing right now through that forum in hopes to get the information out to our community and our families. We're also going to be adding Zoom parent meetings. We're going to do those by grade band, K to 4, 5 to 8, 9 to 12, and then HVLA and Cougar, which would be December and January. So there'll be more information forthcoming on those initiatives. And then we're also going to be reinstituting a monthly newsletter. So Ms. Keys is finishing up that newsletter now, which we will distribute with our grab and go food distribution program. And we'll also have copies at each and every building throughout the district. So again, another way to try to communicate and reach our families during this very difficult time. Next slide, please. And I just wanted to share this slide. We've been doing a number of comprehensive updates during the board meetings. And this is a list of just the last year, the different topics and comprehensive presentations we provided to the community. And since March, all the meetings are recorded since we've had to go virtual. So I share this because if you're watching tonight and one of the topics from June or July or August are of interest to you, they are out on our YouTube channel. So you could go and actually watch that meeting. The presentations are all attached in board docs. So you can go back and pull the exact presentation that was shared. So again, just showing that we're going to be using our board meetings to continue to push out critical information to our stakeholders during COVID and after. This is how we want to operate and conduct our business as a school district. Next slide, please. So when can we go to hybrid learning? And this is obviously a very difficult decision that will need to be made when the numbers start coming down. But this is just a reminder of the benchmarks we were looking at. We had this slide and the next slide in prior presentations, but we are looking for, a 3 to 4% positivity. We want to be below 5%. I think if you look at that slide earlier, you can see once we hit that 4.5%, 5% range, we started having more and more issue with positive cases. So being in that 3 to 4% positivity range for a consistent amount of time is really what we're aiming for. And we'd like to see the incident rates below 50 for a sustained period of time. When I say sustained period, we're talking 2 to 3 week time period. We want, again, those cases to hold steady. We want to see a sustained decrease in community spread. Obviously, what's happening now is the complete opposite of that. The testing turnaround times have improved over the past couple of months. I will say they're still very inconsistent. We see results come back in 24 to 48 hours. We see some results take still 5 to 7 days. So hopefully more consistency will be had in that area, and we'll continue to work with state and local health professionals. And then full return, again, we would be now looking at a rate of 10 per 100,000 for a full pre-COVID return. We would want to see positivity rates below 2%, reliable treatments, and that real strong testing coordination happening across the community. As far as, next slide, please, next steps. The administration will continue to monitor key COVID-19 metrics, and adjustments to work schedules will be made. So we will be making adjustments to our work schedules to try to lessen the number of people in our buildings at any one time. But I need to stress this. This isn't going to be like March. The district will be open 5 days a week. We will be here to support our students and our families. But we are having struggles with COVID-19, like many other school districts and businesses are. And given the large spread of community transmission, we do need to make adjustments specifically over this holiday period to try to lessen the impact. And what we're trying to avoid is a community spread type issue within one of our buildings. So our plan is to remain in a full remote learning environment through January 2021. If the numbers do drop to that late September, early October level, We will then re-engage our plan to start to return small cohorts of students for in-person hybrid instruction, and as well as engaging in winter athletics. We'll continue to provide information through the communication forums we mentioned in the presentation. We're going to continue to prep our buildings by cleaning HVAC equipment, keeping our PPE supplies at an adequate level, continuing to disinfect using our Clorox 360 process and procedures that we've been doing. That will all continue through the next 8 to 12 weeks. And last and most importantly, we appreciate your continued support during this difficult time. Our parents, our families have been remarkable. The amount of change and the amount of sacrifice you're making, specifically in this 100% virtual learning model, is not unnoticed. It is greatly appreciated by every staff member within the Harrisburg School District. It's appreciated by myself, it's appreciated by the school board, and it's appreciated by our receiver, Dr. Samuels. We understand your role in helping support us through this very, very difficult time. And it's been difficult on us as an administration, as a school district, but it's been 100 times more difficult on you as a parent. And we appreciate everything you're doing to support us. And Dr. Samuels, that concludes my update presentation for this evening. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Dr. Sneath, for the comprehensive overview for the comprehensive plan. And thank you, Mr. Selmer, for the in-depth update. And I echo, the thanks and appreciation to our families, our staff members, and our students. This is an extremely trying time. And our goal is to, sort of broaden our access and continue to, look at ways that we can support children and families. As we continue this evening, Mr. Summer, I would like to ask that you continue with recommendations and other updates, please.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Samuels. So under the Office of Superintendent, I have 3 items for your consideration, letter B, C, and D. Letter B is an agreement with Landmark Realty to relist the Woodward property. Unfortunately, we did have an agreement of sale for the Woodward property back in the spring, but the plans for the property did not pass through the Planning Commission and the local neighborhood group. And so we're kind of back at square one. So again, I'm asking for your approval for a 1-year agreement with Landmark to relist the property. Letter C is the Dauphin County Technical School, which is a resolution to approve from the joint board to accept the Lower Paxton Township offer of $7,100 for a required right-of-way for the installation of a traffic light at Locust Lane and Fairmont Drive intersection. The funds will be placed into the Dauphin County Technical School Capital Reserve Fund, and all the participating school districts within the Dauphin County Tech School needed to approve this resolution, and all entities agreed to move this resolution forward for approval with their boards. And letter D is a daily operations resolution. This resolution will allow us to conduct daily operations over the winter break from November 17 through January 19, 2021. We are going to cancel the December 21st, 2020 board meeting. We do have a December 7th board reorganization meeting that will be held that Monday night. And this resolution allows us to conduct operations to include but not limited to payment of bills and hiring or replacing personnel that do not encumber new or additional funds outside the approved 2021 budget.
Thank you for sharing. I'd like to officially approve the recommendation to extend the agreement with Landmark Realty to relist the Woodward property. I'd further like to approve the recommendation for the Dauphin County Technical School to support the offer, the $7,100 offer for the right-of-way that is needed. And finally, I would like to approve and authorize the daily operation for the school district by the superintendent administration from the time period that stems from November 17th through January 19, 2021. And I would like to reinforce what you did state, Mr. Summer, the fact that in December, it's quite unique. December 7th will be, board reorganization. And if there are things that need to be addressed, during that time, we can include them on that particular date. So the items that you shared are approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Samuels. We'll move to the Office of Human Resources. Ms. Lillis.
Thank you, Mr. Selmer. I would like to move for approval this evening by Dr. Samuels, approving the job description for the HVLA elementary education teacher, which is listed in item A.
You're on mute, Dr. Samuels.
Thank you. The recommendation for the approval for the job description for the Harrisburg Virtual Learning Academy elementary education teacher position is approved.
Thank you. Item B is our resignations, end of service, and there are 4 staff members listed there.
First of all, we'd like to thank these individuals for their service to the Harrisburg School District, and the recommendation for resignations and or end of service is approved for these 4 individuals.
Item C is a request to hire 5 new staff members.
The recommendation to hire 5 new staff members in various positions that range from transportation dispatcher, family engagement specialist, teacher positions, etc. are approved.
Thank you. Item D, we have a number of change of status items listed there.
Okay. The recommendation, the 7 recommendations for the change in status for the 7 individuals that are reflected are approved.
Under item E, we have 4 staff members who will have a column change due to credits, college credits that they've earned recently.
The recommendation for the column changes due to credits earned is approved for individuals reflected.
Thank you. Item F lists the 10 supplemental stipends to be paid to staff members. I would like to qualify and add to this for the minute purposes. Number 3, it should say prorated after the $3,089, and also the same under item 7. The $1,500 would have been for a total year. However, since this individual is only going to be working in that capacity from 12/14/20 through the end of the year, that should also state prorated.
And that's number 3 and 7?
Yes, please.
Thank you. The recommendation for supplementals and stipends is approved. And we certainly will note, as Ms. Anderson will clearly note, that for the individual who's listed as the 3rd person here, and number 7, that the prorated notation will be included. Thank you.
Item G is a ratification of summer employment for teachers. There are 20 listed there.
The recommendation for the ratification of summer employment for the 20 individuals listed is approved.
Thank you. Item H lists 7 of our staff members who recently have achieved tenure status with the Harrisburg School District.
Great. So our congratulations to these 7 employees. The recommendation for the temporary professional employees who have fulfilled the requirements according to section 1108 of the Pennsylvania School Code is approved.
Thank you. Item I lists the athletic stipends for the remainder of our fall season.
Okay. The recommendation for the 22 individuals for athletic stipends for the fall season is approved.
Item J is a listing of current family medical leave of absence employees.
Yes. And we are noting that by law, the family medical leave that we see reflected is for information purposes only.
Item K, leave without pay. We have one teacher requesting 2 days leave without pay the end of January, beginning of February.
The recommendation for the leave without pay for the one employee reflected is approved.
Thank you. And the final item for Human Resources today is item L, COVID-19 leave of absence requests.
The recommendation for the 3 individuals reflected for a leave of absence due to COVID-19 is approved. Thank you very much, Mrs. Lillis, for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lillis. We'll move to Office of Business Services. Mr. Longridge.
Good evening, everyone. Dr. Samuels, this evening I have several items for your review and approval. We don't have any grant awards for your review tonight, but we'd like to keep that on the agenda as a placeholder. I do have a treasurer's report for your approval, though. So the report ending October 31st, 2020, in the amount of $55,074,412.81. We're submitting that for your approval this evening.
Okay. The recommendation for the approval for the treasurer's report for the period ending October 31st, 2020 is approved.
Thank you.
Thank
The
you.
next item, these are budget transfers for our new fiscal year, 2020, 2021. These are budget transfers that have accumulated since July in the amount of $1,242,711.87. We're asking for your approval for these budget transfers this evening.
The recommendation for the budget transfers for the 2020-21 school year in the amount reflected is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Under item D, a ratification of accounts payable checks. We have several dates here, Dr. Samuels. I won't read all of the amounts, but I would like to explain a little bit what we're requesting for you to approve. We have several dates: October 16th, October 30th, November 6th, and November 12th and 13th. Within each of those dates, we have different check runs as we did last month. We have for the current fiscal year and then for the previous fiscal year, we have certain invoices that come in after a fiscal period ends. So for item number 1, October 16th, there's an amount of $410,542.64. Item number 2, this is for the previous fiscal year. That's why 2019, 2020, that's a very small amount, $2,448.90, and so on and so forth. You'll see item number 5, October 30th. That's actually the date for the wire transfer for September of 2020. That's a rather large amount. That includes bond payments that we made in September on behalf of the school district. That's $11,017,953.69. And then in the following 6, 7, and 8, those are 6, 7, 8, and 9. Those items are for November 6th. One of those, just to note, item number 9, that was a refund of a tax. That was a duplicate payment made by a taxpayer. So we worked in conjunction with the city to refund that tax payment to the taxpayer, the amount of $1,777.33. And then items number 10, 11, 12, and 13, those are also either wire payments or check runs. Items number 12 and 13 were for payments for invoices from the previous fiscal year. So I know that's a lot of information, but rather than read all the dollars and cents, I wanted to just sort of lay it out in a little bit easier to understand way, just so everyone understood. There multiple fiscal years and multiple items of interest there for you to review. And so tonight we're asking for your ratification of those check registers and wires, Dr. Samuels.
Great. Thank you, first of all, Mr. Longridge, for providing the comprehensive background and the explanations. The recommendation for the ratification of accounts payable checks for the 13 dates that you reflected, of which 5 are from the 2019-20 school year and 2 are wire transfers. The request for the approval of these items, the 13 items for accounts payable checks is approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Samuels. And the last item I have this evening is item E, ratification of payroll processing. We have 2 payroll runs for ratification. One is October 30th, and another is just this past Friday, November 13th, in the amounts indicated. We're requesting ratification for those as well.
Great. The recommendation for the ratification of payroll processing for the dates that include October 30th, 2020 and November 13th, 2020. The recommendation is approved. Thank you, Mr. Longridge.
Thank you, Dr. Samuels.
Thank you, Mr. Longridge. We'll move to Office of Academics. Dr. Sneath.
Good evening again, Dr. Samuels. I have just a few items for your consideration. Under the area of special education, I have 3 contracts for students to for student tuition to New Story in the amount of $205 per day for each of the students.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Sneath. The recommendation for the 3 agreements with New Story are approved, and it is noted that one of the recommendations is actually for the 2020 school year from January 1st, 2020 through June 4th, 2020. And the additional are for August 2020 through June 2021. There are 3 recommendations for approval they are accepted and approved. Thank you.
Thank you. And under learning resources, I have 4 items. I am requesting the approval of the Ingenuity contract for licenses, training, and learning materials for K-5 students in HVLA from January 1, 2021 to June 30, 2021. This is in coordination with what Mr. Selmer presented tonight, which is the transfer of HVLA to be supported by Harrisburg teachers. And this is the platform that we are purchasing so that they can do that work in the spring.
Terrific. The recommendation for the purchase or the approval of Ingenuity contract licenses is approved, and it's also noted that it's being funded through CARES.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm also requesting approval for an upgrade to our language line contract. As you know, we have many families that speak multiple languages where English is not the first language of the family, and we really need to communicate with them. Language Line has updated their services to include tele or video translation. And we would like to upgrade our contract so that we could provide this video translation for our parent-teacher conferences, as well as IEP meetings or any sort of school meetings with these families.
Absolutely. Very, very important support. The recommendation for the upgrade to Language Line contract is approved.
Thank you. We are also in the works of creating leveled teams to make sure that we have cross-training in the area of scheduling, master scheduling, student scheduling in Power School at the elementary, middle, and high school level. This is very extensive professional development in the amount of $18,540. And this will be conducted between November 5th, 2020 and November 6th, 2021, paid for through the general fund.
Great. The recommendation for the Power School team training is approved.
And lastly, I am requesting a ratification of the contract for Frontline for their September 1, 2020 to August 31, 2021 contract for the professional learning management system in the amount of $12,922.12, funded through Title II. This is about a $20,000 reduction to the original contract because of some changes in the way we're using their product.
Great, thank you. The recommendation to ratify the contract with Frontline for the services that you shared are approved.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, Dr. Sneed. Dr. Samuels, just to clarify, before we move forward, special education, the item number 1 for the news story contract, I'd like to ask that you ratify that, given that it's from the prior fiscal year. If we could just clarify that for the agenda, please. And I apologize, when I reviewed the agenda, I missed that year.
And I apologize as well. I just want to let you know that that is a ratification because the news story changed their tuition, their daily tuition rate to account for remote instruction, which is less than what they charge for in-person instruction, just so you understand why we have to make that adjustment.
Great. So thank you both for mentioning that. And so that's why I wanted to make sure I mentioned the dates. So the recommendation to ratify this particular contract with News Story is approved for that time period that is documented. Thank you both for that.
Thank you. And then Ms. Anderson will reflect that on the minutes that will be posted then in January for this meeting. So thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, Office of Operations, Mr. Glass.
Thank you, Mr. Summer. Good evening, Dr. Samuels. I have 2 items I seek approval for this evening under facilities. Item number 1 is approval of an agreement with DVL Group Incorporated for AC maintenance services for the 15-ton unit that cools the district's data center. And the agreement is through January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021 at a cost of $4,340. And that funding source will be the general fund. And I just want to point out for anybody that might need to know this unit, I started in working for the district in 2004. And this unit has cooled our data center for longer than that time. And it's getting to the point where it failed us twice. So this contract is going to ensure us that we can get through until we can find a feasible replacement for this. So it's very much needed. And then item number 2 is I recommend approval of an agreement with Cleveland Brothers Equipment Company for preventive maintenance services on 13 emergency generators, as well as our preventative maintenance inspections due in March 2021. The cost is $13,655, and the funding source is a general fund budget. And I also want to point out that these preventative maintenance inspections are actually part of our annual fire inspection. So we need to move forward with this as well.
Great.
Thank
you for sharing. I'd like to approve the recommendation for the agreement with DVL for the AC maintenance services to support the district's data center. I further like to approve the recommendation for the agreement with Cleveland Brothers Equipment Company, as they also provide a very important support which will enable preventive maintenance services for 13 emergency generators. So thank you. They are both approved. Thank you, Mr. Glass.
Thank you very much, Dr. Samuels.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Glass. Office accountabilities, we don't have any items tonight for your consideration. And item 6, we have no policy recommendations this month for your consideration. So I will turn the meeting back over to you, Dr. Samuels. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Selmer, for sharing, and thank you all very much for sharing the recommendations. Before officially adjourning the meeting, I don't know, Mr. Salm, if you want to put a reminder out there, as Dr. Seith mentioned earlier, that progress reports have been mailed to families. We encourage, families when to talk about
Yes.
report card conferences.
Yes, thank you. So, yes, all report cards across the district were mailed out last Friday. So again, I thank the team for coordinating that. It's our understanding that it hasn't happened consistently for a number of years. So we're pleased that that is taking place. And then next week is parent-teacher conference week. And obviously, we're going to have to do it virtual due to COVID-19. But we really encourage our families to take that time, connect with their teacher, ask questions, share concerns, talk about their students' progress. So again, we can continue to partner and move forward in the coming months. So again, those conferences will be held next week with the Harrisburg School District. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And I'd just like to wrap up and to conclude by saying our goal is to support all children and families, and we want to do everything possible to ensure that all families and all children are connected. And if there's any questions or support that's needed, we're here to support you. Use us to support children. I say that to our board members. Our board members have information to share. Thank them for their support, and to all of our staff. Very, again, unusual times, and we'd like to continue to improve practices and support and to get information out there. And it takes all of us as a team to share and to ensure that all students and families are being supported. So thank you all, and have a very, very good evening. Thank you. Good night, all.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.